All right. Welcome, everyone, back to another Basement Radio K podcast. This is podcast 153. Jeez, man.
Wow. Wow,
That's
man.
crazy. 153. I think you were like a number 30. Like you made your debut
Something
one,
like
like,
something like that, man.
right? Oh, my
Like
goodness, man. Time.
2015, I think it
I
was.
don't know, man.
Something like that.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah. It's been 2 years, man. At least 2 years. That just,
Or 2016. 2016.
it blows my mind, man. It's
Yeah.
just, it's gone by so fast, man. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
definitely has.
Yeah, but yeah, happy to be back. Another Wednesday night. We have a great show for you guys. We have a special returning guest. We have Mr. Boomstick XL, or Boom,
What's
as we call him for short. What's going on, Boom?
nothing much, man. First of all, when you reached out to me, actually funny because I was reaching out to you to
Yeah,
see if you could be on Friday show. And you're like, hey, listen, are you going to be available? So of course I talked to the missus, and she's like, yeah, go crazy. I'm going to go in the room and watch a movie. So that's what Mrs. Boomstick is doing. But I love being on your show. I say this all the time, and I don't mean it like in jest. Like I really truly enjoy the kinship that everyone on this panel has, and it makes me come back as a fan to listen because especially when a certain two podcasters are at each other's throats, but then at the end of the night shake hands, which I love. I think that's like when that's a brotherly thing. I mean, I always wanted to choke my brother, but at the end of the day, I still gave him a whack, one of those
yeah.
love whacks. But it's great to be here, man. And this is going to be a great show. I'm going to be putting back on the police hat for this particular episode, talking about Randy Pitchford might be in some trouble.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation. And in fact, that's why I wanted to have you on because I talked about this yesterday because there were yesterday a story broke of some accusations of by basically the gentleman who who's the voice actor for Claptrap. His name's escaping me at the moment right now.
Yeah, I got his name. His name is David Eddings.
David Eddings, thank you. And yeah, he's accusing Randy Pitchford of some criminal activities. But yeah, we'll get into that later. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, Boom, you're man. Just look, man. We love having you on. Thank you for coming back on again. It's always a pleasure. And please, if you guys haven't checked out his podcast, please check out.
I appreciate it, dude. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Please check out Double Barrel Gaming, man. It's just a great podcast, man. I mean, like Eric said before we went live, we love the hustle, man. We love the work that you do. So keep up
I
the great
definitely
work.
appreciate. Listen, just want to tell you, again, I'm still learning on the job. There's a lot of things I don't do that others do, like OBS. I won't mess with that because there's more, in my opinion, since I tried to learn it, more audio down, minuses than there are positives to it. So I kind of just I do a regular podcast, kind of like you guys, nothing too fancy.
Yeah.
But like I said, you guys, you put on a great show. You hit the 1,000 mark, which was amazing. I'm glad to have been a part of that. I really do. My
No,
one of my
thank you, man.
no, dude. That's thanks to you guys. I mean, you guys put in the work. I just kind of just did the rah-rahing, and that's fine. But I think that's what more people need to do in this community. I think when you see someone kind of struggling, get behind that person on their show and give them a push, because hitting that 1K, people don't understand how important that is. Not just financially, it's a big mark to
Yeah.
someone who puts out content. So if you see someone that you're a fan of, and they're not at 1,000, man, do something about it. You don't have to be the biggest guy to make an impact. Every little person that helps pushes the engine along. That's why I love this community, because everyone is always willing to help each other, and that's why it was my pleasure to help you guys.
Yeah, man. And again, we certainly appreciate it, man. That was big, and we are very appreciative of that. And yeah, you're right. It's a big deal. I remember, when Eric. It's funny we talked about this being episode 153, and Eric joined us like really early. Like we were in like the 30s, and Eric and I used to talk about, man, can you imagine we get to 1,000 subs, man, one day, and I remember him and B Money saying, "Hey, it's a grind. Just keep doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
and you'll eventually get there." And we did. And so, we're looking to get to that next plateau of 2,000, and we'll get there eventually. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
more-
Well, you guys
more
put on a good
specifically-
show.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate that, Boom. But like more specifically, it was we said the grind is going to be slow because you're doing it in a way that you can evolve. Because if you remember, Boom, like for a while, a lot of people were chasing the now factor, like what was hot, and that was just, hey, insult this brand, insult that brand, you know, and go off of that, and and people had meteoric like growth in that, but then they became stagnant. And I told Enrique, and like B said, we're not going to go that path, but it's going to be a slower grind. But I think we're getting to a point now in the community where people are looking to move away from that old type of content and move into people who are actually trying to be legit about it and give good perspectives. And while you may have a preference, you can still talk about the industry as a whole and not have to slight and diss and have these beefs and all this weird stuff, like all the nonsense that goes along with it. Like, just talk games. If you always keep it about gaming, you'll find that audience.
Well, I mean, that's what I like about you guys. You're a bunch of gamers that are like brothers that hang out, talk about gaming, and you do it in a way. Listen, let me tell you something. The sellout way, I'm not mentioning names. I'm not even going to allude to anybody. Okay, I'm not going to do that because I am my own person.
Right.
Again, I come out there, I preach positivity. Some people don't dig it, and I'm cool with that. If you don't like it, I've actually been told, in messages, DMs that are just very insulting, and I've and of course the messages you get on when you leave a video, people. I actually had one guy on Twitter say that my persona is fake. that this is not how I am in real life, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. That's okay, but the way to do it is sure. We've seen certain shows explode, changing sides, insulting one brand to the other. Listen, if that's your stick, man, I'm not a hater. I'm a congratulator. Go ahead and go crazy. Go flip-de-flop all you want. The way you guys are doing it, the way I'm doing it, the way many people in this community are doing it, is the way you put your nose down, you grind, you talk about what you love, and people will enjoy that. And Eric, I got to tell you, you hit on a really, really fantastic point. People are getting sick and tired of hate. The hate train has officially left the building, and I get messages like that all the time. Oh my God, your show is so positive. Thank God, we really appreciate it. Because that's what it's about. Right. This world is negative. It's a horrible world. I mean, so isn't gaming supposed to be our escape?
Yep.
Why would you want to bring everything, the shootings, the racialness, the stabbings, the this, that, and the third, all of that hate? Why would you want to bring that into our safe space? Right. That's crazy.
Thank you. Boom. That well said, man.
Exactly.
Anyone listening, please. I hope this resonates if you're someone who maybe engages in console wars and gets angry over video games. I hope you take what Boom said to heart, because, I mean, you're right, Boom. This is supposed to be our escape from all the bullshit and the craziness of the world or the stress. I mean, look, there was another school shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's number 15 of the year?
Yeah. It's scary, dude.
And you know what's scary? Is that it's becoming normal. I have become myself desensitized to it. I mean, it sounds crazy to say, but I read it and I'm like, oh, okay.
You know what? It's like another shooting. Right.
Yeah, another shooting. It's sad. Like it's just because nothing's changed since the previous 14 shootings. Like nothing's changed.
Right. And you guys know I work in the school system, and it's become now talk about it's become normal to the point where we factor in active shooter protocols and things like that.
It's scary, dude.
Where school used to be a safe place. Like you went there thinking, okay, we're safe from a lot of the things that go on the outside. Yeah, you have your fights and you have certain things that happen, but now it's like heads on a swivel. You have to have protocols in place in case XYZ happens. It's terrifying. It's scary.
Yeah, it's again. I just like when we get back to gaming, we talk about what's fun to play, what's hot, and that's the way. That's what podcasting is supposed to be about. People want to listen to this while they're playing their games, while they're in the gym, like I do. Like I listen to so many people's shows when I'm in the gym, kind of trying to pass that 35 minutes on the freaking elliptical. If you listen to a show, it goes by.
That's the only time you can catch up because there's so many great podcasts. There's only so much time between gaming and working and doing everything else. Like
that's why I like traffic.
Yeah, you know what? Sometimes you're like, hey, I don't mind sitting in traffic. I got to catch up on everything.
Yeah,
because there are really good shows out there, and you want to try to give love to everyone.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, guys. You guys see? Oh, by the way, Born to Shrek said, "Hey, boom, good unboxing video."
Oh,
we were talking about that before. Why don't you talk a little bit about that for those who don't know? About the unboxing you did. Because I know we talked about it a little bit, and Eric, I don't know if you watched it, man, but
no, I didn't.
Yeah, but Boom was telling me the story behind it. It's he got a great deal on this on these Marvel figurines. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Boom, man. Go.
Yeah, no. I mean, I won't take up too much time. But what wound up happening is I hung out with a friend of mine who's a retired police officer. He actually just retired this year, and we were just kind of hanging out, not at a bar, like everyone. We went and had brunch like normal people, and we had coffees, and there were nothing added to it, just plain coffee. And we were hanging out. And he goes, "Listen, let's go to GameStop." Now, I like games. I love GameStop. I really do. But I don't shop there on a regular basis because I buy most of my games digitally. I only go there for my collector's edition. So we go to the GameStop, and this is for all the bargain hunters. And I said this in the video. If you're interested in collector's editions, especially if they're a little older. Look up at the top racks, because that's where they put these things, and they collect dust, and they're up there, and they lower the price. Well, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite's collector's edition, which I unboxed today, was originally $200, and I actually had it pre-ordered, but it just, being retired, you got to manage your money, right? It's only one check coming in, so you can't, you can't spend like when I was doing overtime. I used to do overtime just to work for games. It's hilarious. People used to break my balls over like what are you doing overtime for? I'm buying the next I'm paying off November's games, right. That's what I used to do. So I happened to look up, and that the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is there, and it says $47. So I'm like, oh my God, I if I pass this up, I'm gonna punch myself in the face. Like I can't walk away from this. And then I thought to myself, wait a second, I'm sitting on 27,000 power up reward points. If I cash this in, I'm gonna get a $25 gift card, which I did. And what I found out, and I can't believe it took me this long to find out, they give former and current law enforcement and first responders a 10% discount, along with, of course, our incredible military, 10% discount. Oh, wow, so this original $200 collector's edition, I wound up paying $22 for.
Wow.
Jesus.
Wow.
And I got to tell you, dude, look, I buy a lot of collector's editions. I mean, a lot of collector's editions. And I'm telling you right now, it is the crown freaking jewel in my collectibles. Those figures are, when you look at these things on the box, you think you're gonna get like, okay, yeah, it looks big, and you open up the collector's edition, that's like a 4-inch figure, right? It's that cheap plastic that the arm is hanging. Not this one. This has, I mean, they're like 8-inch statues, and there's 4 of them. It's Mega Man, Chun-Li, Captain Marvel, and Iron Man. And the Iron Man it's like the Mark 46 armor. Oh my God, dude, it's crazy. But then on top of that, it comes with the 6 Infinity Stones in a box, and when you open it, it lights up and it pulses.
Wow.
It's
what? That's
crazy. And of course, it comes with the game, with all of the DLC, the season pass, and it's in a collector's tin. So I mean, it's just. Check out the unboxing. If you guys want to see a really good, I had a lot of fun doing it. My unboxing skills are definitely getting a lot better, but I'm having a real blast. But yeah, thanks for letting me tell you that story. It's pretty cool.
I mean, that's incredible, man. $22 for what was a $200 collector's edition. I mean, it's just you can't beat that. Here I am thinking that I got a good deal on my Gallahorn for $60,
and that's a good deal because that Gallahorn is, oh my God, dude, that is so mint. I love that thing.
You know what? It's still sitting in the box, man. I haven't taken it out yet.
It's big. It's where you're gonna put it.
That's the thing. It's 44 inches long.
Yeah, it's gorgeous, man. If you're a Destiny fan, I mean, look, I have a 55-inch replica chainsaw gun from Gears, a Lancer, on my wall right above where I'm podcasting.
Nice. Does it like rev up? Is it real?
It does. When you pull the trigger, it goes like that. It makes the noise.
Enrique's keeping that Gallahorn mitten box for me when he decides I can't keep this here.
Yeah, it's just too much for me. Here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you actually may have asked me what I was going to do with that. Like you're like, hey, if you don't, because I don't. Here's the thing, I don't know where to put it. That's the thing. Like, where do I put this thing? Well,
like I said, flat against the wall. You go to Home Depot and you get those 9-inch plastic coated hooks that kind of hang out, and that's what I have the Lancer sitting on. And you drill only two holes into the wall, and it will hang there, and it just you dust it every now and again, but it would look mint against the wall, dude.
Hey, Boom, do you mind sending me a picture of that?
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah, I was thinking about hanging the Gallahorn above my TV. I don't know, like, if it would look good there. I mean, I have right now I have an X-Wing fighter.
Oh, that's nice.
That's like from like
what, 79, 80, something like that?
Yeah. My wife
with
got
the
it for me for
R2-D2
my
when you push
birthday.
it, the wings open up.
No, this one is probably, oh man, 2 feet long.
Wow.
I mean, it's a big figurine type thing. Like, it's pretty big. And it's old, right? Well, we got it at a collector. My wife got it for me at a collector shop. It's hanging. I can send you a picture. It's hanging from my ceiling.
Oh, that's nice, dude.
And it's big. I mean, you can see it. Eric, I don't know if I showed that to you, man.
No, I don't think so.
Picture of the X-Wing, man. Yeah. Anyhow, Eric, you also inquire about my McFarlane Assassin's Creed and Titanfall posters.
I did.
Yeah,
you have some nice things that I should be able to inherit at some point.
Oh my! for your years of service at BRAP, right?
Right.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I gotta hang that. I gotta hang the Gallahorn, and I still have a God of War collector's edition I picked up for like $50. That's still in the box too. Man. Yeah. So that was all Gaming Forte who told me about the sales that we're having at.
Well, he's your inside source. That's the inside man right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I just sent you the picture, dude.
Okay, I'll check it out. I'll check it out here in a sec. But I do want to get to some gaming related topics because there are some news, other news out there before we get to Mr. Randy Pitchford and his potential legal issues. So, we've talked a lot about loot boxes here. I've had, Jay Fontarelli's been on the show, and he's, Jay and I are probably on the same page. Loot boxes, I think they can be very egregious at times. Although I will say this: Devil May Cry, what DMC uses is not a pay to win type situation. I've gotten many discussions about. Chief Tomei's not in the live chat. Big shout out to Chief. Much love for you though, Chief. I don't agree with you on that. Chief swears it's pay to win. I'm like, it's not pay to win. It doesn't really impact the game, and I will have that argument. I will die on that hill. So
not DMC5. I would agree with you on that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've purchased a few thousand orbs. I think it was like $1 or something like that. It was very inexpensive, and it was something I wanted. That I was a few thousand short, and I wanted to buying it. Like I said, I'm not afraid to spend a couple of bucks. Like I talk about this on Crossfire, where I'm an old school cat. A lot of people know that already, and I'm a big fan of like myth, like Norse mythology. I'm a big fan. That's why I loved God of War. I'm a big fan of of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That lore is just like right up my alley. And Clash of the Titans, not the new one, the old one.
That's the best one.
It is the best one. Is one of my favorite like classic movies that I enjoy watching, and I can watch it anytime it's on.
Same here.
Well, they had a Pegasus that you could buy, and I wound up buying the Pegasus, and they had armor that looked like right out of Jason and the Argonauts, which is another old school, like early 60s, 70s kind of a film. And I bought it. I dropped $20 in there, and you know what? I still have the armor on, and I still have the Pegasus, and I have 200 hours in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I think I got my money's worth. But it's because I wanted it. I didn't need it. They didn't say, well, you can't cross the bridge unless you're riding a Pegasus. No, I just like the way it looked, and I got it. So when it's like that, it's not bad. It's when, someone with limitless bank account could buy more weapons than you, and completely changes the game. Then that's when the system is broken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eric, any quick thoughts on loot boxes, microtransactions before we get into this?
No, I say the same thing I say all the time, man. Like if it's something that's completely optional, that like if they're not locking content behind me having to buy something, I don't have a problem with it. If it's something that's optional, where it's a skin or whatever the case may be, I don't have a problem with that. When it comes to play to win, like someone that comes in, then that's a little gray, a little shadier to me. But again, when developers are saying, well, if you want to get to this next level, you have to pay this to get in, which you don't really see that happen very often. It's happened in the past, something like that, or they're locking, you need this particular content to get here, then yeah. But other than that, like I said, if it's not impeding me, like I remember you and Chief Tommy kind of went back and forth on Devil May Cry 5. I never once had Devil May Cry force me to buy anything or try to force me to buy anything.
Yeah.
And didn't even bring it up. It didn't even pop up to say, hey, you got to get this. Like Boom said, it's really hidden. You have to kind of look for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's there if you want it, and it's not egregious at all.
And if you don't use it, you don't lose, you don't miss it. The only thing you miss out on is probably, getting newer moves, but even if you don't use those moves, it doesn't prohibit you from beating the game.
Yeah. And quite frankly, in a single player game, it's not even a conversation that I'm willing to have. Again, if they're not locking anything behind something in a single player game, or they're not, falsely making you grind out, which, could happen. But again, and that was my concern with Devil May Cry 5. Like, are they going to make this like completely difficult and obscene where you're kind of forced? No, they didn't do that. So yeah, in a single player scenario, you're kind of out there on your own. Kind of do your thing. If you want to get it, if you want to go at the beginning of the game and drop another $20 to unlock everything and be beast mode from jump, have at it. If you're playing multiplayer and you're paying for everything to jump ahead of everybody and be beast mode, then that's a little weird,
Yeah.
So,
no, I'm on the same page as you guys. So this just broke today. Senator Josh Hawley, representative from, I think, is it Missouri, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, announced that a bill would basically introducing a bill that would ban loot boxes and pay-to-win microtransactions in games played by minors. The senator said it will include both games designed for kids under 18 and games whose developers knowingly allow minor players to engage in microtransactions. The bill will be called the Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act.
Here's the thing. I love it when one of these so-called senators or our government that are looking to put a name on themselves introduce some. Look, here's the thing. First of all, I'm not a parent, but I talk about my nephews all the time, and I'm in their business. Okay, they don't live with me, but I'm in their business. Mm-hmm. If you're a parent and you're not in your kid's business, I'm not going to shame you, but I'm going to tell you, shame on you. Because, when I was growing up, my mom had us when she was real young. And guess what? We weren't criminals. We both have jobs. We all of us are, upstanding citizens. Be in your kid's business. When we were growing up, my mom used to tell us all the time, guys, if I don't know your friends, you don't know your friends. And everyone had to be introduced to mom, and she would be the judge because she knew who the cats were and who to keep us away from. And in this age, this digital age, I'm going to tell you this right now. Your 9-year-old who's playing Fortnite, if he's not getting A's, he's not playing Fortnite. And also, he or she would have to earn these $20 skins. And if you don't have control over that, parents, and I'm throwing this out to you, then there's a freaking problem. So I understand what he wants to do, the children under this. Well, if you're 18, you're buying your own stuff because you're working. But if you're a 7 or 8-year-old playing Fortnite and you have $1,000 worth of skins, I'd like to know how you got those. If you're an A student, all right. My nephew Daniel's an A student. He has 76 outfits. 76.
Holy moly.
Okay. Just, do the math is ridiculous, but he is an A student. He's one of the nicest human beings I know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So he earns that. So I don't know, dude. It's just when politics tries to stick their nose in video games, I get a little nauseous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's, oh my God, I don't want to turn this into a political, like, I don't want to turn this into politics, but when I hear stuff like, and I'm only going to say, because I have children and we talked about school shootings. When I hear congressmen say things like, we're gonna enact a bill that's going to protect children from Abusive Games Act. You know what comes to my mind? What about a bill to protect kids from being shot at school act?
That's what I was gonna. Yeah, let's
I mean, that's a common sense bill was what you're talking about. Really well done.
I mean, well, we talk about common sense on Capitol Hill. That tends to, anyhow, I don't want to get, politicize this too much, but that's the thing. And not that I don't think this is a bad bill. I think there's probably some level of maybe goodwill behind this, because I do think that we do need to be careful. Anytime there's microtransactions and there's that loot box system where you don't know what you're going to get, and I think other countries have enacted things that where you have to disclose whatever chances the actual chances you have to unlock certain things in loot boxes. I think that's happened over in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. But to just kind of dive into Senator Hawley's bill and some of the press material that he put out. One of the games that he actually mentions is Activision's Candy Crush. He says there's an egregious example of pay-to-win microtransactions as a result of it's $150, what they call the Lucius bundle. It's $150.
Jesus.
That comes with a whole bunch of like items, and it's basically like a pay-to-win type situation. And what he says, and I'm quoting him here, he says, when a game is designed for kids, game developers shouldn't be allowed to monetize addiction. Now, I think that goes back into maybe what you said earlier, Boom. Parents need to know what their kids are playing.
Yep.
Because as a parent, you can determine and dictate, how much time your son or daughter's putting into that particular game. But Eric, what are your thoughts on this, man?
No, I'm right in line with you guys, man. The first thing that came to my mind too was, hey, take that energy and actually put it towards something that is affecting families hardcore. I'm not, and like Boom was saying too, we have to stop passing the buck.
Yep.
And that's constantly what we do. And again, working in the school system, I see it constantly. Parents, you try to reach out to them and say, hey, your kid is sliding on their grades, XYZ. You never hear from them. The only time you hear from them is when their kid is in the office for something that they did and they want to come in and confront that's when they want to be parents, is when it's time to scream and yell, about, you're picking on my kid type of thing. But you don't know that your kid was up until 4:30 in the morning playing Fortnite, which happens. I've had kids come in. I'm like, you look wasted, man. What's going on with you? Man, I was up all night playing Fortnite. Well, where was your mom? Oh, she was in the other room sleeping.
Yep.
No, that's when you get why are you up? You come in the room and you scream, So you can't keep passing the buck. And I'm with Boom. Like, I'm tired of politicians that want to take the low-hanging fruit and come at something because they don't understand it. Or they, or they hear something somewhere and they're like, oh, well, that's a good platform. That's a platform that gets popularity. And it really doesn't, but a platform they don't want to touch is gun control. That's too hard. That's too hard to figure out. They want to take the path of least resistance,
Yeah. That's been my frustration with, and I live outside DC. So that's been my frustration with Capitol Hill. And again, I don't want to politicize, I don't want to politicize it too much and bring up the whole gun control debate and whatnot. But when I see things, when I see the Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act, I'm just like, okay, like really, like we just had another school shooting. Was it yesterday? The 15th, and what, this year? Is that?
Yeah, I believe it's 15. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I'm just like, well, I mean, I don't, I just don't, I just feel like sometimes politicians just, I don't know,
especially when you have the research beating you upside the head over and over again that says, video games are not causing a lot of these situations, or video games has not been proven to have a direct, correlation or effect on the psyche of someone acting out or doing something, to harm others.
Well, that's been the blame. I mean, that's kind of, I mean, let's face it. I mean, we've all been gaming for a long time. Video games have been under attack on numerous occasions.
Yeah.
Blame for causing kids to act out violent, or, now with the whole loot box thing, it's causing kids to become, to have gambling addictions,
yeah, and it's often from somebody who doesn't even play like games.
Mm-hmm.
Never has played, doesn't play, has no idea. They just see something on a TV screen shooting. It's easy. It's a low-hanging fruit, like I said.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Stop passing the buck. There are real issues. Like, okay, you want to pass a bill to protect kids? Let's protect kids from sex trafficking.
Yep.
Let's really work on this. I mean, it's a major issue. People kind of tend to think the sex trafficking thing is another country's problem.
No, it happens right here in the United States.
Yeah, major in this country. But they don't want to, talk about that. Again, that's too hard to figure out. That's too hard to navigate.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's go after video games because, that's easy. Everyone can agree with that. We can't really go after the rap music anymore because no one cares.
Well, rap is rock and rock is rap.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
no, really, there's all genres are bleeding into one another, which is why I love all music.
Right. We can't go after that. It's not harmful. It's not dangerous anymore.
Yeah, it's not it's not the devil's music.
Right. Right. So.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, I lived that too, man. We all lived it when the rap thing, when the government went after rap music, and I just feel like they have their priorities in the wrong place at times when there's
they do
more important things more important issues, I think, to tackle. I think, like you mentioned, sex trafficking, and we talked about the school shootings and whatnot. To me, that's more important. But
yeah, the answer to school shootings is to arm the teachers.
That's certainly one way, or again, you gotta. I mean, not because I'm former law enforcement, but you can't hire people that are untrained, and you can't train someone in a 2-week course on how to be a security guard. You know what I'm saying?
You can't. Yeah, at the learning
in the schools
and say, "Hey, get your license and carry this thing around."
No, you have to. I say you hire retired guys who know what to look for.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That worked in the system. I mean, I worked in a high school for years. In fact, I went back to my old high school that I graduated from. To be the youth officer there. It was a fantastic and an amazing experience. But again, right now I couldn't do it based with my back. But if I was in the shape I was when I was 20 something, I would definitely go back and work in the school, because there's a certain again. There's training and there's life experience. Life experience, you have to learn on the job. You have to do the job to get that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want people with that kind of experience, there's two things. One, you have to tell people you want it, and two, you kind of got to pay. You know what I'm saying? With a lot of these schools, I've noticed they would rather take the cheap way out and then do something after it happens. See, this country has been, and I really don't want to turn this into a political thing, it's very reactive instead of being proactive, like Eric was saying. That's what these especially with these school shootings, you need to do. You need to be more proactive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great point, man. And I agree with you. I don't want to politicize this more, but I think to an extent you're right. We've become reactive as opposed to proactive, and you could see that in different hot button issues in this country right now. I do want to bring up one more point regarding this story. the Entertainment Software Association, no surprise here. They sent over a statement shortly after the bill was introduced. They say, I quote them, numerous countries, including Ireland, Germany, Sweden, Denmark, Australia, New Zealand, and United Kingdom, determined that loot boxes do not constitute gambling. We look forward to sharing with the Senator the tools and information the industry already provides that keeps the control of in-game spending in parents' hands. Parents already have the ability to limit or prohibit in-game purchases with easy-to-use parental controls.
Yep.
That's in fact true, and that goes back to your point, Boom. And Eric, I mean, we're the parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to. I mean, I think at this day and age, as a parent, you have to be aware of what your kids are doing with social media, with online gaming. I mean, if you're not, you potentially get yourself in trouble, and
or bankrupt.
Or bankrupt. Yeah. Hey, I had to call Comcast one day because my son ordered a movie twice, and they charged us twice.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know how that. I'm like, how can you order a movie? Don't we get like free? I don't know what happened, but they removed it. I mean, but still, I mean, it's like
if you're not on top of them, you wouldn't even know. You just paid a bill.
Yeah. But I saw something. I was like, wait a minute. So we put in parental controls and stuff like that. They can't access certain content and whatnot. But not surprised to see the Entertainment Software Association put out this response to the senator. They're obviously going to have a lobbying interest in this. Be interested to see what happens if this bill in fact passes, or what happens. I will say this: the senator is known in Washington for criticizing major tech companies like Facebook and Google. He often gets accusing them of anti-conservative bias. So,
brother.
Yeah.
It keeps going and going and going.
It keeps going and going and going.
He's like the guy that comes out of the bathroom and's got the toilet paper on his foot. He just keeps going and going. That's the kind of guy he seems to be.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. But I can't wait as we go further here, because it's happening as some of our current senators age out and we're getting new crops in the gaming culture and the pop culture.
Yes. Great point, dude. Great point.
And your presidents that are going to be who come from gaming stock. You're already seeing it now. Actually, you're seeing it now, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out when these older senators who are still hanging on, like, we're going to go after the games. Okay, shut up. We're not even doing that.
Those games are the devil.
Yeah. And they're like,
it started with Elvis, and now it's ending with Electronic Arts.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that all unfolds when all the senators are, playing online shooters together.
But you know what, though? I will say this, though. I don't mean to interrupt, man. To the industry's credit, I mean, companies like EA have kind of scaled back because of, criticism by consumers for some of the egregious, loot box stuff, like what we saw with see, Black Rider says bring back Tipper Gore. Oh my,
that's great.
Oh my God, it's great. I love it. But yeah, I mean, like, the industry, I mean, has kind of, I think, in some ways, like EA's, kind of self-policed itself. With some of the backlash they got after this, what was it, Star Wars Battlefront 2? Was it?
Yes, 2. Yeah, it was a terrible.
Yeah, so
hey, you have sample sizes of when people come together. Guess what? Things happen.
Yeah.
But we're too divisive still. We want to like prove to each other that the company, their game or console we prefer, they're anti-consumer. We have to. I don't understand the end result of that either. It's like, okay, one of these days when someone comes at me, I'm just going to say, yep, you're right. I am getting rid of my console because you're right. You proved it. You did it. Now what do we do? It's like you spend all this time trying to prove to someone that they're wrong for their choice, right? Instead of banding together. I think, and Boom, you might agree with this. When was the last true time that people banded together, besides the whole Sonic the Hedgehog thing, to get something changed? Mass Effect 3, we were talking about that before the show.
Right.
People were pissed about that ending. Gamers came together, and guess what happened? They changed the ending, right? Whether you agree with that or not, it happened. But that's the thing. As consumers, if you say, you know what, we're not going to put up with this, we're not going to put up with that, and you truly speak with your wallet, things happen. Changes can happen. But if you sit there and all you're doing is, angry tweeting, and then at the end of the day, you're putting down your money for your pre-order, you're sending the wrong message.
Yes, I agree. You put your money where your mouth is. If something really bothers you, don't buy it. If it doesn't really bother you, again, kind of just talking about what you're referring to is this has become the fake outrage
Yep.
Era. Besides being the entitlement era, where people just the 20 somethings don't want to work. They want to come in. They want the 6-figure salary. They want the corner office, and they want the front parking spot.
Oh my
And when they
God.
get there, they're like, "Okay, go get my coffee." Old
Hey,
man.
Boom. I don't want to go off the rails here, but
Yeah.
I do want. You just brought something up that I think I alluded to last week. This fake outrage culture.
It's just silly.
I mean, I saw it with Days Gone about the zombies,
Yes,
and I'm just
yes.
like, what the fuck, people? Like, it's not. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Like, there's more important things in this world.
I got to tell you, I'm 25 hours into Days Gone, and it's not a great game, but it's certainly not a 6. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And I think if given the opportunity, and we talked about this pregame for Ben Studios to make a 2, and I hope that they're given that opportunity by Sony. It's going to be a fantastic title. Again, wait for it on sale, but it's not a 6. It's a good game. It's not a great game. It's a good game, but it's not a 6. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And the thing else too is, and so what?
Somebody gave it a 5.5. I think it was
quite a few of the bigger sites did, and now they had. You saw later on there was a rebuttal, like like you saw what IGN. I think it was IGN that did it.
IGN gave it a 6.5.
Yeah, there was somebody that came up that did an article. Oh, should we be so hard on them? And it's just.
Oh yeah, there was a IGN. It was a podcast. One of the fans emailed, brought up the topic of, is the media being too hard on?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was the example of when people only read the headline.
Yes.
don't comprehend what it was actually saying. They just saw something and they just ran with it, right? And it was like, no, they were answering a question from a fan. They weren't saying one way or the other. Should we be hard? They were replying, and getting you to tune in and click. And that's what people don't seem to get either. It's like getting you to click. And if you're pissed and you really don't want to support them, stop clicking on them.
Yep. Well, I moved away from mainstream gaming media 4 years ago, dude. They want the. I'm gonna get me wrong. I have sites I still go to that I trust, but I don't click on everything. You again, if we're in the business, right, where we do this, I don't say for a living, but this is a big hobby for us. That if you're a content creator and you're looking for stories, who you can go to and who to stay away from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, that's with anything in life. You have people that are really good at their jobs, and people that are mediocre, and people that just suck. That's just, that's everything. And you kind of have to do your, especially with the media. I mean, I've learned this too. Like just with, growing up and really growing up reading print media. I knew growing up what magazines were the better magazines, had better written articles,
better creative paper. When you were, when flipping those pages, the Die Hard Gamer was a great magazine. Gamers Republic was another fantastic magazine. I miss the days where, I know technology is great, everyone, but if you missed out on holding a magazine, going to your local Optimo, and which was a cigarette shop that sold magazines, and we had quite a few of them in Co-op City in the Bronx. I used to run there with my allowance to go pick up the newest one of these magazines, and I would, man, just before the internet, I know we're never gonna go back in time, and I wouldn't want to, but those, man, if you grew up in those era,
different
totally different era, dude.
You get that Electronic Gaming Monthly.
Yes. I love EGM. 300 pages.
Yeah, and it was celebratory. It was celebratory about gaming. I guess. Maybe it's because we didn't have direct access to people. I mean, outside of the rising upcoming of forums and things like that. I know some of the culture of Twitter existed in the forums and things like that.
Because we didn't have that rage culture though. Like back when we just didn't like. I mean, I don't understand where this is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really trying to figure out, and I'm teaching my kids, like, look, guys, you prioritize your feelings, your emotions. There's 911s and there's 411s. And like,
yeah, I like that.
No,
That's good.
no, really, you got to figure out which one is which, or 311, the non-emergency. You got to figure out which one is which. You not everything is a 911.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if some of the fake outrage. I don't know. I don't want to judge people. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but I just I don't understand it, especially over video games where, like, I think we talked about this earlier, like the one thing that's supposed to, like, be our escape from all the bullshit, while the bullshit seems to find its way into it. I said this on a Brap Rant. I feel like, or I may actually, no, actually I meant this. I mentioned this in the article, boom, the bias media article that I wrote for the lordsofgaming.net, the Iron Lords website. I feel like identity politics has kind of crept into gaming, which is kind of weird, interesting in a way. So we see that in politics today, but I'd never thought that we'd see that in gaming. Much different from when I was growing up.
Yeah, so, for sure.
I just say stop taking everything so personal. Also, it's like, people. It seems like people feel like they're being attacked if someone has an opinion on something. And if you remember this, like if you're debating people, your objective isn't to browbeat their opinion. They can have their opinion, you can have your opinion, and you can talk, and you may end up agreeing to disagree, but people get stuck in this whole thing is, I have to change your opinion because you're wrong. That's what an opinion is. It doesn't mean either one of us are wrong. We have an opinion on something. You may not agree with what I'm saying, but I'm not here to reprogram you. And that's where people get stuck. And maybe that's why I just breeze by. Like, I see something, I may chime in, and sometimes I'll chime in, sometimes I don't. It just depends on what it is. But it's like, I see people that cruise around like, Cobra Kai on virtual dirt bikes. Oh, I gotta stop. I gotta get in there and stop this because you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Just
looking for I here's a word of advice, anybody. When you're in your Twitter timeline and you see two people going at it and there's 20 responses, completely just put that on mute and keep it moving. Don't involve yourself.
That's funny. I like the Cobra Kai reference. But
that's funny.
That's funny. and the other two people getting upset over game scores. I'm like, it's just, if you like the game, that score shouldn't change.
Why do you give? However you feel about mainstream media or a particular YouTuber, whatever the case may be, why do you give them so much power?
Exactly.
Good point.
They're trying to keep the lights on. They're doing, and I'm not saying that they're doing things egregiously just to keep the lights on. I'm saying they're putting out a product. They may get some things right, they may get some things wrong. But here's the thing: if you don't agree with them, most of the time, just leave them alone. But you get people again that fish. They sit there and they scout. They all day long they scour, and they look for that headline. Oh, got them! They put out a headline. I'm going to rally the troops. They're still winning because you're sending everyone there.
Great.
Right?
Yeah.
What's the best way you really feel that they're doing something? Hey, why not try this? Why not be productive and write to them and say, look, you guys are doing some things that are kind of sketchy, and I think you're better than that. Sometimes when you put it back on somebody, they're like, oh man, wow.
Yeah.
Because as human beings, we don't want to be called out on our stuff. We always feel like we have like the answer, and our way was the right way until someone calls you on it. And then if you're a person with humility, you may look back. And I try to tell people too, when you're dealing with people online, none of us really have met face to face. We're dealing with what are typically personas and ghosts, right? But if you try to remember, when you're dealing with somebody at a major media site, most of them are not trying to go out and hurt people. They may put something out. They may say something that you may not like, or whatever the case may be. So think about it like this. If you work at McDonald's and you're over there cooking the fries, right? And you turn over and look over your shoulder and there's 4,000 people standing at the counter telling you how awful you are at making fries. And you should kill yourself because those French fries are horrible. Eventually that's going to get you.
They're too salty, damn it.
Eventually you're human. It's going to get to you. And guess what? Some things might start seeping into your
You get tainted. You get tainted. Absolutely.
You get tainted. You're like, you know what? I'm tired of being the whipping boy. I'm going to come back at you a little bit.
Yep.
So you have to be careful. So maybe sometimes if they got something right, let them know, hey, you know what? You guys got that one right. And I see it. Sometimes they write things that they got right.
Don't poke the bear.
people share that. They only share the negative because they want to rally the troops and they want to do the outrage culture thing.
Yeah.
But if you want them to be better, because people, let's call it what it is. People are very focused. They want mainstream media to give everybody the right props. You want to see that? If you think that's the case, be constructive sometime. Call them when they need to be called out. But if they get something right, let them know, hey, you got this right. And guess what can start happening? They start looking at more of that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with YouTubers. I know people will say, well, I go to YouTubers because, they're the future. But then when that YouTuber says something you don't like, I ain't clicking on that. That's horrible. You can't go both ways.
We've had people unsubscribe to Brat because they didn't like what we said about Microsoft one night.
Yeah.
That happens, dude.
Yeah,
that happens.
It's like,
and you know what I say now, man? And
you stop watching your favorite TV show when it has a bad episode, I
got into it with someone earlier on Twitter. I just told him, I can't give you what you're looking for. If you're here looking for your validation, if you're here because this is what you ride around looking for fights, I can't help you with that. That's not what I'm about. There's real life stuff that we all have going on. If you really have life stuff going on, you just don't have time for the nonsense.
Yeah.
Not over video games, something I don't even have ownership over. I didn't create an Xbox. I didn't create a PlayStation.
I wish I did, though. I'm going to be honest with you. I wish my bank account did.
and you know what? Even then, if we created it and we had that flow from it, I still have time to fight with you because I'm now somewhere off enjoying life.
Yeah. I would look at the messages and just laugh. While I was lighting my cigar with $100 bill.
Oh, my God.
Exactly, bro.
By the way, if anyone's interested in getting an idea of how scoring systems work, Game Informer, the print
I
version.
still like Game Informer. I really do. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Game Informer, they have that old school feel, right?
They do. They really do.
Game Informer actually they break down their scoring system, and they break it down. They tell you why a game got what it got. So
yes, yeah. Like, on the side panel, it explains sound, graphics, replayability stuff. Yeah, they are. Listen, I don't know if people allowed to know this. I worked for Funcoland way back in the day, man. Yeah. When Game Informer first started, it was like a pamphlet. It was like 10 pages. We used to give it out with the when you bought one of the cleaners. What they've turned into, man, is, like I said, I every time my Power Up Rewards thing is going to expire, I do it because of getting the magazine, and I get the print. I don't get the digital one because I like the magazine in my hand, and I give them a big thumbs up. I like their magazine, and like you said, they're very old school. Their writers. They're of course they're probably a younger generation, but I think the culture at Game Informer might be an old school mentality.
Yeah,
I think Andy McNamara, the editor-in-chief, has that. He comes from that.
He's been there a long time. And
yeah. And Andy ain't no pusher around either, man. You come at him, he'll come right back at you.
Yep. Yeah, he definitely will. So, I do want to go to our next topic of the evening. Scalebound's back in the news.
Scalebound. Scalebound. Man. I don't know. I'm just laughing because this is funny how Scalebound just
won't go away.
Yeah, it really won't. It really won't. I saw this article, dude, and
2 years later, bro. 2 years after the fact. Yeah.
It was a bit of a head scratcher. I gotta be honest with you, and I don't understand the motivation. To be fair, I read the article. We talked about it today on Gaming News at Noon with Salty and Boom. That new episode had 20 topics, and that's on Salty's channel. Go check that out. This over here, obviously when Microsoft put the kibosh on this money pit, this endless money pit that they were pouring money into, they immediately got the blame, right? And what I found hilarious, guys, about this article was they actually said, well, we felt really bad that Microsoft was getting the brunt of this, abuse from the fans. And I say to myself, how would you actually say this in an interview 2 years after the fact? Like, why not take responsibility and come out and say, oh, I know why, because you wanted to sell games that had the platinum logo on it. That's why. And now you're saying this. It just, listen, Platinum is a great studio, but if you look at their long list of games, and they have quite a few of them that are great, but they have quite a few of them that are stinkers as well. They're like they're like a 60-40 company.
You never buy from the B team at Platinum.
Yeah, great point. Don't buy from the B team because you get Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I bought like an a-hole. But I'm a fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fan, and I tried. It's a terrible game. But
the Transformers game was good.
That was good. Yeah. I enjoyed that because I'm an old school cat. I like the 80s Transformers, and it was good.
Right, Boom?
Yeah.
I might have to check that out.
Yeah, that's if you probably picked it up dirt cheap. That is worth picking up, especially if you're a G1 Transformers guy or gal. I love the Generation 1 stuff.
For their Turtles game, and that just turned out to be
just terrible. Just awful.
Yeah.
But Boom, to your point, what's interesting is that, so this is the CEO of Platinum. I forget his title. It was and his name is Atsushi Inaba. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly.
No, you did. That's pronounced. That's correct.
Yeah. So is he the CEO? I don't know.
He might be. He holds a prominent role in Platinum for sure.
Yeah. And I just thought it was interesting. Like, 2 years later, he says it wasn't easy for them to watch fans yell at Microsoft, like you mentioned, Boom. But he also comes out and says that both sides failed. That Scalebound didn't do all the things that we needed it to do they didn't do all the things they needed to do as a developer. And I'm just like, why are you saying this 2 years later? And if you guys remember, I think the rumor was, and I say rumor because this was said to me in DM, that the reason was that you mentioned the money pit. That basically what was happening was Platinum was taking the money Microsoft was getting and using it to fund and finish up Nier Automata and some of the other projects they're working on.
As a matter of fact, I've heard through the grapevine that what was done Microsoft could have taken legal action against Platinum Games, and they chose not to.
So this is kind of odd. I think
for that kind of thing, yeah, I'm amazed that there was no legal action taken. If that was,
it's funny you say that, Eric, because what I was, what I thought about is this, because I've heard, you see a lot of people's opinions on social media. And one of the opinions that I saw was, Phil Spencer's not that kind of a guy. Like he's a good dude, and it's true. Phil is great. He's one of the kindest. I hope to meet him at E3 this year. I highly doubt I'm going to get that close, but it's one of my personal dreams. I really would like to meet Phil Spencer. I think he's a genuine human being. But even though that sounds nice on paper, oh yeah, Phil's a good guy, he wouldn't do it. I don't think that's necessarily the reason why there wasn't any legal action. I think that if they would have taken legal action against them, could you imagine how hard it would be to get a third party developer to work with you? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think really that's what it comes down to, where if they took legal action against them and they kind of, put them on the pedestal and say, listen, shame on you, we're going to take you for everything you got. People would be afraid to work with Microsoft, especially the smaller third party, second party, the AA studios. Like, oh man, if we don't meet the quota, we're going to get, sued or something. So I really think it was more of a, okay, listen, we lost this battle. We'll come back to this at another time. That's what I think. I don't know what do you guys think about that?
I think that's a very good point. Honestly, it's like you're looking at the long game, like the long ramifications of what that could mean. And I think that's probably why they tried to keep it under wraps, not to try to hide anything, but just like you don't air your dirty laundry. Like something happened. We always heard speculation about what had happened, So yeah, it is odd that it is popping back up at this point and kind of making it sound like, yeah, we both made some mistakes. It's like,
yeah. It's interesting. He says that they learned a lot of painful lessons from Scalebound's cancellation. I'm like,
sure.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. When I read that, I understand that internally, they might have been like, "Yeah, listen, we can't do this again." But at the end of the day, guys, I think that it's when you say Scalebound, whether that's on social media or just the three of us talking to a bunch of awesome fans that are listening now, the first thing that comes to mind is Microsoft. It's not Platinum Games, dude, and I think that's the big problem. I don't necessarily know what lessons they learned, but I'm going to tell you this: the cancellation of Scalebound did not hurt Platinum one iota.
oh no,
Not even one iota, because every game that they released after that was a critical hit, a critically acclaimed hit. Nier Automata didn't sell like gangbusters, but it sold what they expected it to sell on the PlayStation 4, which was an exclusive at the time. And you would think, and this makes me wonder about the whole business aspect of this deal. After the failure of Scalebound, don't you think Platinum would have won the Microsoft? Listen, we kind of owe you one. Here's an exclusive for your console, your platform that's struggling with exclusives. I'm just saying. I mean, does that make sense?
It does. I mean, but I think we also don't know what, with regards to Nier Automata, we don't know what agreement might have been in place, with Sony prior to any of this happening. I don't know, man. It's just. I just find it interesting that we're still that 2 years later, this game is still being talked about. It probably will be talked about for some time.
Yeah,
I think it's
until Scalebound, until the actual game is released.
Yeah, I mean, and there's that rumor, that was supposed to, was supposed to come to the Nintendo Switch. That's not happening. That's not
Microsoft owns the IP, from what I understand. So, the assets weren't deleted, right? I think Salty said that today. So, they could logistically. Could you imagine if they took the Scalebound license and they say, okay, this is what they were thinking. The headphones kid, people making fun of him, whatever, with his his beats on while he's riding a dragon. Can you imagine if you gave that to someone like a Ninja Theory? Said, okay, listen, take 4 years, guys. Keep this under wraps. No one knows. We're going to call it Project Frog Princess or whatever.
Frog Princess.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't know. So you don't ever mention Scalebound the words.
If you said Frog Princess, everybody would assume it would probably be like Fable, some kind of Fable game.
Probably, yeah. but it would psych everyone out if it was a Scalebound.
Right. I'm going to kind of jump in on what Tommy just said. He was saying another was saying that MS was pushing for multiplayer and Platinum wasn't having it. And the thing is, when they first showed that game, I mean, I was on board. I said it looked like an interesting concept, and I like Platinum games, so I was like, all right, let's do this. When it started getting weird to me, even before they really started showing it, is when they talked about the multiplayer aspect, and I'm kind of like, why would you go to Platinum Games if you need multiplayer in a game? That's really not what they're known.
That's not their forte. It never has been.
It's not. It's not. Same thing with Ninja Theory. They're going a little out. What they're working on does have multiplayer. They're usually a single player, story driven developer. So that's very much what Platinum is. When they tell their very unique and detailed stories, but it's always been single player. And Chief, what Chief is saying about the multiplayer, I actually heard that, so he's right on that point. And that could have been one of the nails in the coffin. Like I said, I don't think Microsoft is 100% to blame. Neither is Platinum. I think that there was miscommunication during this whole event. I think that Microsoft they just kept paying without seeing what they were paying for. You know what I'm saying? And I think both companies learned from this. Microsoft being more specifically, they'll never just get, that's why they're buying up developers so they can handle it within house how things are being done.
I think if you went now, like take it from now, if they announced the Scalebound, they were gonna do that, right? It would be a single player game. I think when the Scalebound was coming along, Microsoft was in this place where all their games kind of had the formula of there's a multiplayer component and a single player component.
Yeah, great point.
And again, I think when they pushed this, and I noticed when they first showed, I was like, man, that game looks rough. It looks like it's in very bad condition for, it was still a little ways out, but I said it looks pretty rough for where they should be with it, right? And then I think the second time they showed it, and I think Enrique and I actually talked about this, I was like, I didn't know what the hell was going on in that multiplayer demonstration.
Yeah, I was kind of lost. I was like, what is this?
Yeah, and I'm like, and I told Enrique, I don't know if you remember, I was like,
yeah, look pissed.
This game is not coming along, man.
No,
I said they're focusing on multiplayer, and Platinum does not do multiplaplayer, and they're not even talking about the single component anymore. And nothing was going on. They were shooting arrows at this thing, and there was nothing happening. I'm like, what's going on here? And then shortly after, we got the hammer drop.
Hey, by the way, Z Black Rider is hilarious. The live chat's getting a little political right now. Someone's replying to the conversation we had earlier about gun control and whatnot, and someone mentioned Biden 2020, and Z Black Rider said he'll smell your hair for a vote.
Oh my god, he's gonna make me have a heart attack and laugh.
Oh my god, that is hilarious. That is so funny. I'm in tears right now. That is hilarious. But yeah, I remember, man, we had that conversation, and it was kind of like, what is this? Like, what happened? Like, this is not the game that I expected. And didn't Kamiya seem like he was kind of like,
He blocked everybody in that room like he does on Twitter right then in that moment. That's what he would have done.
He would have blocked everyone. Exactly. He totally would have done that.
Yeah. He just looked. He looked like stressed.
He did look stressed. He looked a little off. Yeah. So, hey, just interesting that 2 years after the fact that we hear this from the boss over at Platinum Games. But
like I said again, it's not the last time we'll hear Scalebound will pop up again.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I do want to bring up one more another topic before we get to Randy Pitchford. EA Access is finally coming to PlayStation 4 after Sony initially said they didn't see any value in the service. What do you guys think?
I'll let you go first, Eric. Go ahead.
In there.
Well, what I was gonna say is I think it's about time. I think what we're seeing, Eric and Enrique, is that there's a change of ideology at Sony. I'm not saying that they're going to let the floodgates open with cross-play and cross-progression. I think they're a little stubborn with that, but you're starting to see that they understand that cloud-based gaming is a thing. And they were like the forefronters, with PlayStation Now when they bought Gaikai for all that money. They had the theory that eventually cloud gaming was going to be a thing, and they kind of just fell off with it. But this is look, I'm going to say this: if you're listening now, if you're listening in the replay, I encourage you to go and get this program. First of all, it's $30 a year. Don't do the $5 a month thing. It's a ripoff. Pay $29.99 for the year. The EA Access Vault is bananas loaded with games. Another 60 or 70 games to add to your backlog of 400 games that every one of us has. I have it for the. I pay every year. I without even a second thought for the Xbox. I don't know if I would run out now and get it for the PS4. But if you're a PlayStation 4 owner and if you don't have this service already, I highly encourage getting it. You get a percentage off new games. You get a percentage off all DLC. You get the 5 days early play. You get the 10 hours play. It's just for $30 a year. You spend $30 in a week on terrible food, for lunch. Right? You know what I'm saying? You spend $30 a year for this service. It is well worth it. I like I said, I give it a big thumbs up.
Yeah. What about you, E?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in agreement with Boom there. Like, it's about time, better late than never. And I think it kind of bodes well for where they may be like looking going into PS5, like being a little bit more open.
Yeah, it's a good point.
It goes well because I know people kind of think or are prepared for Sony to make some of the same stumbles that they made with PS3, and it's kind of good to see this. It's kind of good to see Sean Layden kind of come out and address the fact that he recognizes where they were with PS3. When someone addresses it, it kind of lets you know, hey, we're aware and we're not trying to go back there.
Yeah,
So
that's a great point, Ian, because it means that they haven't taken that experience for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're silent on that, you kind of go, they're getting a little spooky again. But when you kind of put that out there, so seeing this kind of move kind of falls in line with that. It's like, we're gonna hopefully be more consumer friendly in that regard by opening up some of these programs. And like Boom said, I don't know if that's going to translate into direct cross play and cross progression. I think you'll see cross progression from them before you see cross play.
Yeah, I agree.
But I do think eventually they'll get there. I think, and people have to kind of understand like how that kind of thing works. It's like you don't just one day go, okay, we're going to open it. You have to be, you're going to be protective of what you have going on, right? It's not that you may not want it to be, you may not looking for it to be there, but it's like taking the carpenter's creed. We're gonna measure a couple of times and then cut once. So again, seeing this kind of move is good. Getting information that there's going to be BC, at least for PS4, is good, which I kind of felt that from jump, and then you'll see how they kind of progress forward with PS Now, so you start seeing some of these things, but this is a good move for them to kind of open that up.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's long overdue. I always said if their mantra is for the gamers, they need to live by that mantra, that just can't be a marketing slogan for them. They need to live by that. They have to. I mean, if you're gonna come out and you're going to trash Microsoft the way you did 2013 with the whole trading stuff and say you're for the gamer, you need to be that. You need to be that. And
I think you're seeing a shift. I don't mean to cut you off, Enrique, but I think you're seeing a shift. And again, if you're going to talk about it, it's just from a consumer standpoint, you have to realize, it's still competition, and Microsoft is kind of like laying out the way that they kind of want to go about things, right? If you're going to allow them the opportunity to evolve and change, because they are a far cry from where they were in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
They're not even recognizable. And that's why I kind of tell people too, if you come to me with the 2013 talk, I'm really going to ignore you, because either they've moved on and they've gotten better, or they're still stuck in 2013. Which one is it, guys? To me, they've moved on from 2013. So I'm going to move with them with whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Sony. Like, if you look at where they were in 2013, they were still a very heavy, and they still are, Japanese company when it came to what they were doing with PlayStation. I think when you look at what they're doing now, it's kind of like they see that in the North here, and we are the more dominant platform or consumer base. They don't really rock in the handheld market like with the Vita or anything like that. They've kind of conceded that to Nintendo with the Switch. So they're seeing console-wise and cloud-based wise, this is the market that they need to be focused on. So I think you're seeing a changing of the guards with them putting Jack at the helm here. And I think you're seeing more of that shift. And I think now that you see EA Access, they probably always wanted to do it on this side, but on the Japanese side, it's like, we don't get it. Why are we doing that?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So I think you're starting to see that shift. And I think you got to they may be a little bit more quiet. They're a little bit more traditional in that regard, in that shift. But I do think just because they're quiet on some things doesn't mean that they're not making some things happen.
Yeah.
You know what I hope this turns into, and I've said this publicly. I hope that this turns into them turning PlayStation Now into their version of Game Pass for the PlayStation.
And I think that's coming, Boom.
I hope it is, because I will sign up for that. As long as I'm getting games, their first party games, day and date. And again, you got to remember, they live and die on the hill when it comes to software sales as well as hardware sales. Like, it's still a big thing for them. I don't know if that change is going to come quick, or it's going to be, someone said in the chat that they're drip feeding these changes, and that is true. So I don't know if we're going to see that right away, but I would like to see that, because that would be a service that I would gladly pay, the $10 a month, or, get it on sale the way I do with the Xbox. Like, I'm paid for the Xbox Game Pass until 2020.
Wow. Well, you got to imagine. I mean, let's say, we start seeing the fruits of the investments of the new studios of Microsoft acquired in those games outside of your tentpole titles, your Halos and your Gears, that Forza, that are good every release. I mean, if they start dropping these new IPs that are just blockbuster IPs, and you can get them on Game Pass day and date, and you're paying, whatever it is a month. Sony's got to answer to that, because Game Pass is, in my opinion, I think still a tremendous value. If you're someone who is looking to access content for what is it, $1, or I know
$1 for 3 months right now.
For 3 months, and then was it $10 after that? And then you're getting all their first party exclusives, release day date. I mean, you can't. That's a good value.
I got a better value for you that maybe a lot of people in the chat don't know. I can tell you how to get 9 months for $31. Amazon has a deal: buy 3 months, get 3 months free right now. Digital. Yeah, so you could spend $30 at Amazon, $1 at Microsoft, and you're getting 9 months for $31.
Oh my gosh, that is huge,
crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, we start seeing those studios pump out some really good titles, and they're on Game Pass. You got to match. Sony has to answer that. Sony has to.
Well, like look at what Danny just said. He said people actually buy Sony games. How do you think that factors in? Because I mean, and I guess that kind of makes sense too. Because I guess Microsoft they were doing things to bolster, Game Pass and to bolster their first party stuff in general. It has like a certain reception, right?
Yeah,
I guess I say that.
So, people are buying Sony games because for the most part they're outside of maybe Days Gone more recently.
Yeah, but you know what? I'll finish. I'll counterpoint your what you're talking about, because I want to answer the dude in the chat.
Yeah, I was going to say that I think people buy Sony games for the same reason people buy Nintendo first party. They put out good content. I mean,
right?
And that's I think if Microsoft puts out good content, people are going to buy good content,
or if they're given the option.
Yeah,
like if Sony comes with a PS Now that has that day and date. If Nintendo had a day and date, would they see add the revenue from it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think I think the one I think when Game Pass first came out, people were saying, "Oh, it's going to kill sales." But I think what we've learned, I believe Matt may have addressed this on Matt Piscatella, where he's said that things like Game Pass have actually led to an increased sales, more player engagement.
Phil Spencer said that in an interview as well.
Yeah. So so I think that idea that it's not advantageous for these first party studios to put something like that on a platform because they're losing out on sales, it's not true from what we're seeing. So Boom, you were gonna chime in?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not sure who was that said that that Sony players buy their games. And listen, I'm a big proponent for their first party stuff. I'm playing Days Gone. I'm loving it. But I'm going to tell you this: that's folklore, my friend. Sony players don't buy their first party games. They hardcore buy them. And if you look at the sales numbers are just blatantly, I mean, like for instance, a lot of people hate on Horizon Zero Dawn. I think Horizon Zero Dawn and Aloy as a character it was an incredible game. Yeah. Loved it. Loved Horizon Zero Dawn. They celebrated 10 million copies sold. Now that's a monster amount of copies sold. But when you look at the overall big picture, that's only 10% of the fan base. That's where's the other 90% of the fan base? I'll tell you where it is. 90% of the fan base are your casual gamers. The hardcore buy Sony's first party titles. I'm a hardcore gamer. I buy every one of their first party titles. As a matter of fact, I buy every one of those titles and the collector's edition to boot. So I'm a big fan of Sony's what they're pushing. But their sales numbers do not match console numbers. And this is not,
I think the only Boom, to your point, I think the only console manufacturers where their numbers might, their first party games might match their install base might be Nintendo.
Yeah.
But everyone else,
ones, yeah,
even Microsoft, like Halo and Gears. I mean, it's the same. And it's always been like that. I mean,
they sell to the hardcore.
Yeah, I remember I was asking Matt Piscatella that question because I remember someone saying, "Oh, Uncharted is a flop. It only sold like 10 million copies." And Matt was saying, "Hey, if you're selling, if you're a first party game and you sell to 7 to over 10% of your install base, you have a success on your hands.
That's a win. Yeah, that's considered a win. Sure.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't know that, though. A lot of people think that it's, oh well, it's only 10 million of 90 million. That means a flop. No, it's not. It's not. It's a hit at that point. But you're right, Boom. I mean, that other 80 million or whatever that aren't buying the Uncharted or the
they're buying 3 titles a year. That other 80 million players.
Yeah. Yep. And they're representative of how the market is segmented. I mean, 10% of the gaming market's hardcore gamers. The other 90s casual. The Maddens, the guys that buy GTA, the Call of Duty folks.
Yeah, the 2Ks. Yeah,
2Ks,
that's what they buy, and that's nothing wrong with that. But that's you got to remember the reason why. Sony's killing it this generation for a lot of reasons. The first party is definitely at the forefront of that. Marketing. I'm a big fan of what they've done. I mean, they just their shit is everywhere. Their marketing is just is masterful. There's just no doubt about it. But
boy,
what are you gonna do?
Yeah. All right. Well, let's Eric, unless you want to chime in, if you got anything else to say to close out this topic.
Oh no. I think we hammered that one home.
All right, let's get to Gearbox's embattled CEO.
Yeah.
Randy Pitchford.
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, and Boom, we have you on the show because definitely really want to get your perspective. We're in law enforcement. You probably have a little more expertise in this subject matter than we do. So I'm sure everyone's been following the story, and if you haven't, there's been some drama between David Eddings, who is the voice actor for Borderlands. Yeah, Claptrap. Thank you. Claptrap, if you guys don't know, is basically, I don't even know how to describe him. He looks like a trash compactor, one eye, one wheel. Kind of you probably wouldn't want your kids around him. Yeah, that kind of character. He's funny, but probably not someone you want the kids around. So David Eddings is actually not reprising his role as Claptrap. And all this started over all this came up because of David saying, hey, I'm not going to be reprising my role, et cetera, and it's kind of really just mushroomed from there. Pitchford kind of fired back and claimed that Eddings was offered twice the going union rate for voice acting. And Randy said, hey, this is generous. And he said that David is bittered. He's just a bittered and disgruntled employee because he was terminated back in March of 2017. Now, David Eddings replies to this and says, hey, basically, I would have played Claptrap for free if they would have paid me some owed royalties that they owed to me. I would have played Claptrap in Borderlands 3 for free if they would have given me money that was owed to me from previous work. But he also takes this to another level, and we learn of another allegation. We learned that, according to David Eddings, a voice actor who plays Claptrap, he claims that Randy Pitchford physically assaulted him in the lobby of the Marriott Marquis at GDC 2017. And this accusation again emerged over their disagreement over pay on. Again, all this stuff happened on Twitter too, by the way. He also
he dropped some bombs in these tweets, dude.
Yeah. He says that Eddings. He says David Eddings also says personally he thinks that Randy's been on the tilt the last couple of years. He's not this victim he portrays himself to be. And I believe David has even blocked him. I blocked him a couple of years ago on social media, said that he was stalking him.
Mm-hmm.
So when I hear assault, Boom, and E, I'm thinking, whoa, this is some serious shit now. I mean, outside of the current lawsuit, which we'll talk about in a little bit, about potentially money that's been siphoned out of money that was potentially supposed to be given or owed to employees for taking lower salaries, a bonus, if you will. I believe the pot was $12 million or something. We'll get into that in a little bit, but the assault thing's pretty big. I mean, that's a pretty big accusation to Randy, and I was surprised, and I was thinking to myself, well, why now? Why 2 years later? Why talk about this now? Why not bring this up when the alleged incident happened? But Boom, I want to get your thoughts on this. Just with your time in law enforcement, like how serious is this for Randy? And outside of physical assault, this may not be physical assault either. I mean, that could be something else that maybe didn't happen. There's other forms of or layers of assault. Can you kind of run down that and kind of just give us your thoughts on the assault piece and what Randy potentially faces here?
Okay, well, the thing is this, you'd have to, first of all, I would have to, in order to get what exactly happened, you'd have to interview David. You have to sit down with him. You say, okay, listen, you're saying you were assaulted. In what way? What constitutes assault? What exactly happened? And according to the penal law, the definition for assault 3 would be it's called simple assault, which is causing someone harm with the intent to do so. It doesn't matter how severe the injury is, as long as it has some significant pain or injury. And for New York, it's considered a misdemeanor, punishable by up to a year in jail. That's for New York State. If there's no injury, it would be considered harassment. And a person is guilty of harassment in the second degree when they intend to harass, annoy, alarm another person, or he or she strikes, shoves, kicks, or otherwise subjects such person to a physical contact. Again, it would be considered a violation in New York City. Again, my concern with his allegation is not that it's false. Because we talked pregame that there are different forms of harassment. He could have cornered David. He could have put his hand on his shoulder and cursed him out, or say, listen, quiet down, or I'm going to fire you, or whatever. It could have been something of that nature. He's saying he was assaulted. And when I hear that, I'm immediately thinking, well, maybe Randy punched him or something.
Hey, I don't want to interrupt you again, but Z Black Rider, oh my God, man.
And what did he write this time?
He put shoulder rubbing question mark. You know that's a reference to, by the way.
That's actually a hot topic, the shoulder rubbing thing right now, as a matter of fact, in politics.
It is. It totally is. I mean, look, you don't ever put your hands on anyone. Just that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Personal space is something that it's not a luxury, it's a right. So stay out of people's personal spaces, and you'll be okay in life. But in regards to this, if in fact he assaulted him, and I'm kind of just I'm looking at this from, he actually punched him, he shoved him into a wall or something that he suffered an injury. My question to David is, why talk about this 2 years later? He wasn't an employee, from what I understand, much longer after that. And if again, I don't know the circumstance, but I am going to say this: if in fact there's witnesses, if they go back and they pull the tapes, and I don't know if the Marriott would have tapes of 2 years old. They normally, the video, the recordings are purged. I think every 6 months or something like that. So I don't even know if they would have the recordings of this so-called, alleged incident. But that would be my first question. Like, why talk about it now? Like, why didn't you report it to the police then? That would be my question. And I'm sure there's gonna be someone in the chat that says, is there a statute of limitations for assault? I'm not sure. I think for like sexual assault and stuff, it's like 7 years. But for regular assault, I don't know. So that would be my first question. Why didn't you go to the authorities when this happened. And you know, that wasn't the only crime that he talked about. You know, you said it in the opening about the being harassed. That's considered aggravated harassment, especially when you
even if it's on Twitter, like he's stalking him on Twitter.
No, it's over a computer device. Yeah, and if you want, I can read exactly the definition. Aggravated harassment in the second degree is considered in New York City a Class A misdemeanor when and this occurs when a person intentionally acts to harass, threaten, annoy, or alarm another person using a telephone, telegraph, the mail, or any form of written communication, including electronic means, meaning Twitter, emails, things of that nature. You know, now again, he talks about this. He doesn't specifically say where it happened. So I'm going to completely assume that because Gearbox is their main office is in Frisco, Texas, I would assume that they would be in that area because, you know, if you're a developer and you work at Gearbox, you probably live in Texas. So Texas authorities would have to handle the investigation, and that's an easy way to, you know, the authorities would have to basically subpoena the emails and the electronic text from the whatever carrier they had. But again, that's considered a Class A misdemeanor here in New York City. I don't know what that would be in Texas.
You know what? I'm sorry, but I don't want to interrupt you real quick. Before I lose this thought, I do find it interesting though, as we talk about the assault, that he does even after the fact, that he even said that he offered his services for free.
Yes, that's a great point.
You know, for if he received past royalties, and I'm not saying this guy's a liar. I just this is a really odd story for me to kind of like just if it was me, I'd be like, fuck this, I'm out.
You wouldn't. First of all, he turned down working on Borderlands 3, and if you read a lot of his tweets, and there were quite a few of them where he said I would work for free. That's a great point. First of all, if I was assaulted by someone, I wouldn't work for them for free or otherwise. So that's, again, it questions the how true is this so-called assault? How true is this harassment? And now, again, I am going to say I mean, I met Randy once before. He has, you know, if you've looked at the last couple of weeks with Randy Pitchford since the botched Borderlands 3 incident at PAX East, he's been going after, like, look, did you see the banter going back with Andy McNamara from Game Informer?
Yeah,
that was a lot of writing, and now you see this going back. You kind of wonder what's going on. And there was one other particular crime, and you mentioned out of the 3 crimes that I was able to find in this very, very detailed back and forth, the $12 million that was he said skimmed off the top.
Real quick, but I just want to read David Enning's exact tweet about that, where he says, as an aside, seems a bit conspicuous that he chimed in on my salary. He, being David Pitchford, chimed in on my salary, but didn't mention anything about the $12 million of revenue he siphoned away from the employee royalty pool. For your information, Gearbox employees were asked to take lower salaries with the promise of royalty shares.
Now, this is you know, I mean, we talked about it pregame, and I'll talk about it right now with the people that are listening. This would be considered a white collar crime.
It's embezzlement, right?
It would be considered embezzlement for sure. And $12 million is a significant amount of money. And in an era where we saw the Bernie Madoff thing, we've seen lots of big time, corporate CEOs and CFOs go to jail over, scamming money from the top. If in fact this is the case. Remember, he's the CEO of Gearbox Studios, and I don't know what, I mean, he's the CEO, so he has full power of everything. This is something that, not only would this be the state of Texas get involved, this would be the feds would get involved in this. This is considered embezzlement of this substantial amount of money I think both authorities would get involved, and if he was convicted, dude, he would do some massive time for this.
Yeah, and real quick, Boom. And actually, there's a ongoing lawsuit regarding this $12 million, and the lawsuit is with former Gearbox lawyer Wade Callender, who's filed this lawsuit against Randy earlier in the year. The suit accuses Pitchford of contract violations, breach of I can't even pronounce it. Fiduciary. FD. This is terrible. I can't pronounce this word. Fiduciary duty. That's FIDUCIARY. Duty and fraud, including giving himself a $12 million executive bonus, something what Eddings is referring to in his tweets.
Yeah, that's the $12 million. Now, if they can prove wrongdoing,
duty. Sorry.
Yeah, if they could prove wrongdoing, it would be. Look, I'm gonna say this. You actually you posed a question to me. When we were talking before the show went live about what should happen to him. I got news for you, and I said this to you, and I'll say it to everybody that's in the chat. Right now, the board of directors at Gearbox Studios are having some serious, powwows with one another to see. And I would not be surprised if they remove him, at least on a temporary basis. This is. It couldn't have happened at a worse time. Obviously, 2K must be turning over in their chairs over this because obviously they're the publisher. And they're going to be dealing with a lot of backlash over this. I'm sure that stock prices were hurt for both Gearbox and 2K over this. I'll say this right now. I would not be surprised if you see in the next couple of days, not weeks, that Randy has stepped down or forced to step down until this investigation is conducted.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm surprised. Look, honestly, guys, I'm surprised he still has a job.
Well, I don't think they're going to outright fire him. That we saw. Again, this is a little off kilter, but it's still in the same thing. James Gunn, who is the director of Guardians of the Galaxies 1, 2, and 3. You saw what happened with him in Disney, right? Mm-hmm. They, these photos came out that, and that was from a fan that didn't like him. He really went digging, and what happened? Disney fired the dude without doing an investigation, and they just recently rehired him. So I don't think Randy would be fired per se. I think that he would be put on like a leave of absence, a paid leave. He'd probably get a paid leave for that matter. Yeah. But they wouldn't fire him until everything was proven that he did in fact do these illegal actions.
Yeah.
Right.
Very interesting. I do want to, Eric, and I do want to get your thoughts on this too. I just want to, Gearbox actually did put out a statement addressing Eddings' allegations. Gearbox takes any and all claims of this nature very seriously, and we will abstain from commenting on the allegations Dave is making because it is a personnel matter. We appreciate David's contributions to the Borderlands franchise and have continued to assert we would welcome him back into the mix as the voice of Claptrap and other future opportunities. So that's Gearbox's comments on Eddings' allegations of assault by Randy Pitchford. Eric, what are your thoughts, man? Do you feel like Randy's kind of on the last days here, or should be put on leave or fired?
I don't know about fired. I definitely think put on leave while they kind of figure out if they need a restructuring. Take his computer away.
Yes, please.
No electronic devices for you, sir.
It's just not a good look to be going back and forth, with an editor-in-chief of a gaming mag on some petty level like that. Having a fight out in public about it. You make yourself look bad. Especially
Eric, but doesn't that kind of like lend you, like, doesn't that make it seem like
maybe there's something wrong here?
Yeah, like you're just a bystander. Like you're saying, Eric, like that's not a good look. But doesn't that, now you hear this accusation? Now are you thinking to yourself, Eric? Are you thinking, man, I could see Randy doing this?
I mean, granted, like nothing has been levied as far as charges against Randy or whatever. But Randy's a suspect type of dude. I mean, he's just an odd cat, you know what I'm saying? And you just behavior wise, there's like a pattern there. And it doesn't help his case by what he, being on Twitter, going back and forth and having this battle or whatever the case may be, and you're not doing your company, people who work for you, any favors. And it makes you kind of think about the fact that, they did lose a lot of employees. And then, someone like, I'm not saying we have any like definitive proof of this, but you had someone like an Andrew Goldfarb who left IGN to go work there, and he wasn't there that long. He turned right around and kind of went right back to IGN. So
yeah,
it's just odd behavior. And I feel bad for the employees. They're here, they're trying to, they have some goodwill built up. People are kind of hyped and excited for Borderlands 3. And you kind of have this weird stuff kind of going on around it. I mean, that has nothing to do ultimately with the consumer base of people who want to buy the game, but it does kind of make you look sideways at it. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
but to your initial question, should he be fired? I don't know about fired without some kind of investigation, but some things definitely need to be looked into. And if it was me, I would be looking at, he needs to be on some kind of suspension.
Yes.
Pending investigation.
Yes.
Or what's the term I'm looking for? Boom. Well, not gag order, but what do you do?
I know what you're trying to say. I'm trying to find the words for it.
Be silenced. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go sit in your office until we can figure these things out. Do some magic. Whatever you're gonna do down the hall till these things get figured out. Because he's hurting the company at this
point.
Do
some magic.
Like Danny just said, anyone into magic is suspect. Yeah, it's suspect, man. It's very odd.
Again, if you look, first of all, if you look back, as I said, let's go back a couple of weeks to PAX East and the disaster that was the reveal of one of the games that I think every gamer, whether you're in this chat, regardless of what flag you fly, PlayStation, Xbox, it doesn't matter. If you're a gamer and you're and you are a looter shooter gamer, you were looking forward to the reveal of Borderlands 3. I think everybody was in one way or another. And it was botched. It was botched in a way that was, to me, it was almost unwatchable. And since then, it has been, big. I mean, listen, I'm excited for Borderlands 3. It looks amazing. It's probably going to be amazing. But my goodness, talk about a really rough way to show off the game. And since then, all it's been is downhill. And now the back and forth with Andy McNamara. About his comments of no loot boxes, and no microtransactions, but there are microtransactions that are cosmetic. And I thought, I'm going to be honest, I thought that was kind of a cheap shot by Game Informer because he explained. I watched the review. I understood what he was saying, and the way Game Informer wrote it was kind of like fork-tongued, if you will. And I actually wrote to Andy McNamara, and I said, I'm slightly disappointed. This is not what your mag is normally used to doing. And I'm not sure. He didn't answer me, and he's not probably going to, because I'm nobody. But I thought that was a cheap shot. But if you look at what's been going on since the botched reveal, him fighting with Andy McNamara, now he's fighting with this dude on. There's something wrong here. Maybe maybe he's having some sort of a midlife crisis, a stress breakdown.
Well, he's doing magic now on stage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the magic thing. I mean, listen, maybe he's a good magician. I don't know. Well, I tell you one thing, he hid $12 million, so he's a damn good magician.
Yeah, he Copperfield the hell out of that money, man. Hey, there's a lot of uncomfortable around this scenario right now.
Yes.
From that reveal at PAX to these tweets from Claptrap to what's going on in the office, in the Twitter war back and forth. Plus, the 12 million and the other accusations which haven't been proven or anything. There's just a lot of uncomfortable around this dude. A lot of cringe.
Yeah, something.
Because that PAX reveal, man, I was like, did anybody prepare?
I bet he wishes he could make Battleborn disappear.
Hey, and people were telling him, man, yo, you may not want to release this game at the same time as what's the other game?
Overwatch. Yeah,
Overwatch.
I mean, it was once Overwatch dropped, I mean, it was DOA.
But he was trudging straight ahead. No, man, we got this.
Okay. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Okay, fam.
No, they don't. So. Yeah. I don't know. This thing's going to be interesting. I'd be curious to see how this lawsuit plays out and what happens with these allegations.
Yeah. Certainly going to be a story to watch in 2019.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I tell you this. Can you imagine if they do find out that he stole that money?
Then he's going to go to jail.
Yeah. And then, can you imagine that? I mean, that's crazy. He's one of the founders of Gearbox. He's the current CEO. I think he's been in that role since 1999.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Long time in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would send shockwaves. I think Z Black Rider. Someone said he's going on vacay with Cliffy B.
Well, they have millions, so they can hang out.
Yeah, right. Drive around Cliffy's yellow Ferrari or Lamborghini, whatever it is.
Yeah. So,
don't call me Danny. Says he's gonna be the top magician in Cell Block D. Oh my goodness. Well, we'll see what's gonna happen, but I don't know. I'm not saying he's guilty because I don't know all the facts. But I have my eyebrows raised. Like, if it comes out this stuff is true, I gotta say, guys, I wouldn't be surprised, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
wouldn't be surprised. So hopefully it's not true.
On another note, Boston just got eliminated.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, the Celtics are out of the playoffs. Yeah, not that I care, but I'm not a Boston fan.
No, it just makes Paul Pierce look like a jackass again.
Oh my gosh, that's
the series is going to be over.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. I don't want to get into Paul Pierce.
Not to derail, but just had to point that out.
Houston and Golden State are tied up right now. So, all right. Anyhow, we're gonna call it a night, guys. Great conversation, by the way. Appreciate
this is a fun show. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, great live chat, by the way. It's one thing I'll say, when we talked about the grind earlier, Eric, we definitely have people that want to be here and listen to us live and just provide great conversation in the live chat. So want to thank all of you guys in the live chat for hanging out with us tonight. Hit that like button. I see a lot of new faces here. If you haven't subscribed to us yet, hit that sub button and give us a thumbs up or thumbs down. And come hang out with us every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Boom. My man, always a pleasure having you on, man.
Indeed.
Yeah, thanks, man. It was great to be here. Great to hang out. Just like I said, I feel like I'm just hanging out with a bunch of friends, talking about gaming. And I'll gladly come back. This was great.
Yeah, definitely, man. We definitely got you back on the show. And please, Boom, plug your show, Double Barrel Gaming, man. Let everyone know where they can find you.
All right, well, real easy. Find me on Twitter at Mr. BoomstickXL. The DM is open. I talk to everybody. I have like 50 or 60 DMs open because I'm always going back and forth to the community. I truly enjoy that. And if you want a lot of live content, I don't do a lot of videos anymore because I feel more alive behind the microphone. The videos, it just felt like I was kind of spinning my tires, if you know what I mean. And I feel the live content is more in my wheelhouse because I'm more of a community person where I like dealing with the people, on a more personal level. So if you like lots of content, you like a lot of shows, I do 3 live shows a week. One is Gaming News at noon with Salty and Boom on Wednesdays at noon. Tomorrow I'm going to be at 12 o'clock. It's going to be the Xbox Factor podcast with the Welsh Gamer. If you're a big Xbox fan, that is the place for you, especially if you like positive thinking. And Friday mornings are Breakfast with Boom. And that's a rotating panel. We do have 2 permanent members in, of course, So Shady and Ambassador Zemi. And, every now and again I do a Saturday one, but recently I just did an unboxing for the Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite Collector's Edition. It was a lot of fun to do, so go check that out, and I'll see everybody in the chat tomorrow.
Awesome, man. And again, Boom, thank you again for coming on, man. Love having you on as guest. We'll have to get you back on again soon. Eric Jackson.
Yo.
Let everyone know where they can find you, man.
And right here, Wednesday nights with the fine gentleman of Brap. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter, ECE Jackson with the X, and also on the Gaming Perspective podcast, which we don't do a live recording anymore. We do a pre-production recording and then post it later.
Nice, man.
That's the new format. But look out for that.
Awesome, man. And I want to give a big shout out to B Money, Gaming Forte, and Slow-Mo Backslap. They couldn't make it tonight, but big shout out to those guys. We missed them, and look forward to having them back on next week. So everyone, have a great rest of the evening. Enjoy the rest of the week gaming, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And keep an eye out for Brap Rants. I may drop a Brap Rant or two if some big news items hit during the day. So see you guys next week. Take care. Peace.
Take care, everybody. Have a great night.
Everybody.